New York City has just become the first place in America to charge its residents for going to work. So New York is now introducing a congestion pricing. They're going to be charging for the amount of cars that are coming through New York, and they're charging insane fees. So this is what they're calling the congestion zone. This is from 60th Street all the way down here past the Brooklyn Bridge, and this is where you're going to get charged for going into this area. More specifically, this is Lower Manhattan, Soho, 60th Street down has the Empire State Building. Anybody that takes a car, a bus, anything into this area is going to get charged just for driving there. And you may think this is just going to be a few pennies or a dollar, but between the weekday hours of 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on the weekends, small trucks are going to get charged $24 just to get into the city, large trucks $36, taxis $1.25 surcharge per ride, $15 just for your regular car. You guys let me know, does this make you want to visit New York more or less?
All right, guys, so in this episode of You Get What You Vote For, we have to go back out to New York City. Okay, a city of high taxes, high regulation, and not very much freedom to go along with what you're paying to the government, okay? And it's about to get worse for New York, as before, we talked about how millionaires were fleeing New York. Now, that was true in the middle of the pandemic. Millionaires were fleeing New York for lower tax states like North Carolina, Florida, Texas, etc. Okay, in fact, millionaires are fleeing, blue states like California as well too, because again, Democrats have turned these places into hellholes, right? However, allegedly, they're coming back. Okay, according to the liberal media, the New York Times more specifically, the wealthy are returning back to New York, okay, after Democrats have basically begged them to come back because they're losing their tax base. However, lower income residents are leaving the state, right? So lower income residents are now leaving the state because they realize that the writing's on the wall. It's way too expensive to live in this state and city as well too. And New York City is about to get a lot more expensive, at least for some people who drive to work to Lower Manhattan more specifically, because they're implementing a toll for anybody who drives into Lower Manhattan, upwards of $15 a day just for normal vehicles to get into Manhattan. And they're doing this per day, okay? They're essentially charging people to go to work, right? And to just do basic things. And a lot of residents are upset about this because they're saying that this is a tax on the lower income residents of the city and the surrounding areas. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and roll the clip. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Night Watch Pro by Prepper's Peak. Night vision binoculars are the coolest pieces of tech that anybody can have, but until recently, they've just been too expensive for the average Joe. Luckily, newer models have caused prices to come way down. If you enjoy fishing, hunting, spotting wildlife, or you just want to keep an eye out for potential intruders or young scholars or criminals after dark, you'll find a good pair of night vision binoculars very useful. This is why myself and tens of thousands of others are getting Night Watch Pros. Night Watch Pros affordably allow anyone to see with predator-like vision in pitch darkness. They're highly effective for watching wildlife, scenic viewing, surveillance, patrol detection, home protection, and much more. Plus, they include high-end night vision features such as 4K video recording, a clear HD display, 5x zoom, anti-shake technology, and a long-lasting rechargeable battery. Tens of thousands of 5-star reviews back up the idea that Night Vision Pros are the best choice for night vision binoculars on the market. So this holiday season, give the gift of protection to your loved ones. Place your order for the Night Watch Pro and you'll receive exclusive access to the Prepper's Peak newsletter, free express shipping, and last but not least, a 100% lifetime guarantee replacement. Simply click on the link in the description and go to nightwatchpro.com gforemanbcp.com and use promo code HOLIDAY to get 25% off and take advantage of this limited time deal before they sell out.
Now to the announcement of the latest cost of living increase for people living and working in the city.
Yeah, we're talking about this hot button issue, congestion pricing. Today, a board recommended a $15 toll for cars that enter Manhattan at 60th Street and south of that street. Now, there are some exceptions.
News 4's Melissa Colorado is live with details for us.
And guys, after months of speculation, how much is the toll going to be? Who won't have to pay the toll? We're finally getting a clearer picture of this congestion pricing plan. And we're also learning that groups who thought they would be exempt, we're talking about people who live in the zone, people who are going to medical appointments in the area, and public sector employees, we're learning they too will have to pay the toll.
We'll hit New York.
From this Upper West Side dad
Because it will affect everybody.
to this hotel doorman.
I don't think it's fair for the regular people that work in the city.
New Yorkers are facing the reality that the country's first congestion pricing program is finally taking shape. By next spring, the average driver may have to pay a $15 toll for driving on or below 60th Street.
We really made an effort to keep the base toll as low as we possibly could.
The board in charge of coming up with New York's congestion pricing plan revealed the toll pricing structure meant to discourage drivers, improve air quality, and collect $1 billion each year for the MTA. Customers hailing taxis or hopping into a rideshare will have to cover the toll charge. That's $1.25 for taxi customers, $2.50 for app-based rides. Box trucks will have to pay $24. Larger trucks must fork over $36.
Absent this, we're going to be choking in our own traffic.
It's going to affect my pocket, honestly. It's going to be pretty tough.
The MTA says money from the tolls will go into improving the city's subway and bus networks. But doorman Horacio Colon is unsure if that investment will make the subways safer.
I don't feel comfortable taking the train, so I prefer to drive.
New Jersey drivers bracing themselves for a more costly commute on top of the tolls they already pay to cross the Hudson. Governor Phil Murphy is outraged.
It's ripping off New Jersey commuters to pay for whatever financial failings the MTA has. We're considering all of our options, including further legal action.
The board is recommending a $5 discount for drivers who use any of the 4 tunnels to get into the city, but no credit for drivers who cross the George Washington Bridge.
It's a little outrageous, to say the least, especially for somebody that commutes like myself 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, with the cost of living going up, the wages staying,
And just as a reminder, these are the recommendations from the board. Nothing set in stone yet, but the board projects that there will be a 17% drop, fewer cars in the city if this congestion pricing plan goes into effect. That's 153,000 fewer cars on city streets. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Melissa, thank you.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, so again, when Democrats claim that, hey, we only want to tax the wealthy, we don't want to tax lower income people, just remember videos like this, right? Where Democrats, instead of choosing to tax the wealthy, they're literally taxing people to go to work because they are fortunate enough to have a car and they don't want to ride the shitty subway public transportation system that is dangerous, right? In a lot of cases, okay? It is dangerous to ride the New York City subway station, and they're essentially forcing you to do so, or, you got to pay $15 per day that you go into Manhattan just to work, to go to the doctor, I don't know, to go grocery shopping, whatever you need to get, just like basic stuff. Now, again, I think most of the country, and a vast majority of the country, in order to get to a place, even if your state has tolls, I do think that there are alternative routes, right? Those routes might be longer, but you're not necessarily forced to pay to go into a certain area. There are usually ways to get into a certain area without having to pay a toll, okay? Usually the tolls are for like expressways or for like a faster way to get to a certain area or whatever, right? To take a highway or something. Now, me living in North Carolina, I never had to deal with tolls, right? Growing up, unless you live in Charlotte or Raleigh, but even in those areas, right? You don't really have to use a toll unless you choose to use the toll, right? And those tolls are kind of few and far between. You can get a vast majority of places without taking the toll. And everywhere I go where there is a toll, I get pissed, right? I can't stand tolls, right? I feel like I'm being nickel and dimed, okay? Can't stand them. But hey, I gotta say, toll rolls for the most part are pretty nice, right? They're pretty well kept. So hey, I don't really mind it for the most part. I just try to avoid them as much as I can. Okay, I'm just saying. But in this case right here, they're gonna make it impossible to avoid paying a toll if you are entering Lower Manhattan, regardless of where you're coming from, right? So I believe, and people can correct me if I'm wrong here because I'm not from New York City. I mean, I've been quite a few times, so I could be unfamiliar with how this works. But I believe that you have to pay a toll to enter from New Jersey to New York City, right? When you're coming from another state, I do believe that you have to do that anyways if you're trying to go into Lower Manhattan, right? And I believe that this is probably going to add on top of that, okay? But if you're coming from, let's say, Brooklyn or Long Island, you don't have to pay a toll to enter Manhattan. But now you will have to pay a toll to enter Lower Manhattan, which again, for passenger vehicles, can be up to $15 a day. So if you go to work 5 days a week, you're looking at paying an extra $75 a week to go to work. And if you work 20 days out of the month, then you're looking at an extra $300 or so just to go to work, right? If you have to enter Lower Manhattan from, Brooklyn or Long Island or wherever. Again, it's kind of crazy. Okay, they're essentially taxing people simply to drive in Lower Manhattan. Okay, and again, these are the same people that claim that, we just want to tax the rich, right? We want to go after the wealthy. But every time you look, these people are taking advantage of trying to nickel and dime lower income workers, right? I mean, again, this is another example of you get what you vote for. Okay, the city is already facing a budget crisis because of the illegal immigration crisis, right? The migrant crisis in the city. The millionaire tax base, at least temporarily, they had left. So maybe they were struggling in regards to revenue, and they need money. Okay, so again, where are they going to go? They're going to go and tax the lower income workers, right? This is a regressive tax. Okay, that $15 a day is going to hurt people who have lower incomes more than the higher income workers. Again, it's amazing. It really is. Hey, I get it, right? You want the place to be less congested, but again, forcing people or essentially incentivizing people to use an unsafe subway system, right? A subway system that New York City has failed to be able to protect citizens in. Again, it kind of blows my mind. It's kind of crazy to me, right? I can see why workers would be pissed. They'd be like, look, I don't want to take the subway. I want to drive. But again, now they want to incentivize you financially. They want to punish you for driving, and they want to incentivize you to take a potentially unsafe or unsafer mode of transit to simply get to work or to get into the Lower Manhattan. Again, it's crazy. It really is. But hey, maybe it will work, right? For, lessening traffic or whatever. I can definitely see the argument for it. Like, I can see why they would do it. It's just that when it comes to these bureaucrats and these Democrats running the city, I don't trust them to use the $1 billion that they've raised in the correct way, right? I don't trust them to actually use the money to upgrade the infrastructure and to make public transportation more efficient, to try to make this kind of a wash, right? But, again, that's the theory. The theory is that they're going to use the money to make public transportation more efficient. There'll be less traffic in that, Manhattan, Lower Manhattan area, and things will be better, right? It'll be better air quality, et cetera, et cetera. That's the theory behind it, okay? But in regards to Democrats and their execution, I just don't trust it, right? I think that this is a money grab for off the poor. And I don't trust Democrats to actually use the money efficiently to do what they claim they're going to do with the money. Okay, now, again, this is something that was sort of supported by Democrats. Hochul supported it. Eric Adams, when he was running for mayor, he supported it, even though he's kind of backed away from it a little bit now, right? But again, he's kind of being forced into it by Hochul. all kinds of politics going on with this, okay? It really is. I'm just saying, maybe you should, start protecting people that are using the subway system first. Start there, right? Make it safer to actually ride it, okay, or to take public transportation before you implement something like this, in which you're essentially trying to financially force people to take, the subway system, which again, New York City hasn't proven that they could keep safe for average everyday citizens. But hey, once again, when Democrats tell you, oh, well, we want to tax the rich, we only want to tax the wealthy, just remember this. There's been proposals to, quote unquote, tax the wealthy that these people haven't taken up yet, okay? But they've taken up this and they've approved of it, right? I highly doubt that the proposals to, quote unquote, tax the rich are going to go through as smoothly as this proposal right here, which is to, again, tax the poor. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.